Once upon a time, in the heart of a sun-drenched savanna, where the golden grasses whispered ancient secrets and the bamboo trees stood tall like silent sentinels, lay the small village of Umuaga. Here, life flowed with the rhyme of nature, and the people lived in harmony, guided by the wisdom of their ancestors. Among the villagers were two little girls, Ngozi and Ada, who were also close as sisters. From the moment they could walk, they were inseparable, chasing each other through the field, braiding each other's hair under the shade of the mighty bamboo, and sharing dreams about the future. But while their bond seemed unbreakable, beneath the surface, a seed of envy had taken root in Ngozi's heart, a seed that would one day grow into a deadly vein. Ada was blessed with a natural beauty that radiated like sun, and a kindness that endeared her to anyone she met. Wherever she went, people showered her with praises, admiring her grace, her gentle spirit, and the brightness in her eyes that seemed to hold the world's light. Ngozi, on the other hand, was often overshadowed by her friend. Though she was pretty in her own right and intelligent too, she couldn't help but feel that she lived in Ada's shadow. Every compliment Ada received, every smile sent her way, gnawed at Ngozi's heart like a silent, unseen worm. As the years passed, the girls grew into young women, their lives unfolding like the petals of a flower. Ada's beauty blossomed even more, and her charm only deepened with age. She excelled in school, and it was said that even the local chief had taken notice of her, speaking highly of her wisdom beyond her years. Ngozi, meanwhile, tried to suppress her jealousy, but it was like trying to hold back the tide. She couldn't escape the feeling that no matter what she did, she would never measure up to Ada. One day, when the two girls were about 16, the two friends decided to play by the river, as they often did. The water were cool and inviting, reflecting the azure sky above. As they laughed and splashed about, Ngozi's envy, which had been fasting for years, finally reached a breaking point. She noticed a sharp glistening stone near the river bank, and an idea, dark and impulsive, flashed through her mind. "Ada, catch!" Ngozi called out, fading a playful tone as she picked up the stone and tossed it towards her friend Ada. Ada, unsuspecting, turned just in time for the sharp edge of the stone to strike her left eye. A cry of pain ripped through the air as Ada fell to the ground, clutching her face. Blood trickled through her fingers, staining the earth. Ngozi's heart pounded in her chest, not with concern, but with a twisted sense of satisfaction mixed with horror at what she had done. "Oh no, Ada, I'm so sorry. It was an accident," Ngozi cried, rushing to her side, her voice laced with false concern. But Ada's eye was badly damaged. Despite the doctor's best efforts, the wound left her partially blind, and the once bright eye that has captivated so many was now clouded, its lights forever dimmed. The villagers were sympathetic, and they all believed Ngozi's story of a tragic accident. Only Ada, in the depth of her heart, wondered if there was more to it. But she couldn't bring herself to question the loyalty of the friend she had known all her life. Time passed and the girls grew into women. Ada, despite her injury, never lost her inner light. She continued to be kind, generous, and resilient. Her beauty was no longer just skin deep. It shone from within, and it wasn't long before she caught the eye of Obinna, a successful and handsome young man who had recently returned to the village after completing his education abroad. Obinna was smitten by Ada's grace and strength, and it wasn't long before he asked her for her hand in marriage. Their wedding was the talk of the town, a grand celebration that drew people from miles around. Ada, in her white gown, looked like a queen, her one eye sparkling with joy. But in the crowd, watching from the shadow, was Ngozi, her heart burning with jealousy, so intense it threatened to consume her. She forced a smile, played the part of the happy best friend, but inside, she seethed with rage of envy. Why did Ada always get everything? Why did life seem to favor her? The bitterness in Ngozi grew until it became unbearable. She began to distance herself from Ada, nursing her resentment in silence. Then, one day, an opportunity presented itself. Obinna, now a wealthy CEO, was away on a business in the city, and Ada, who had recently given birth to a son, was left to manage their sprawling estates on her own. Ngozi saw her chance to act. She started visiting Ada again, under the guise of rekindling their own friendship. Ada, ever trusting, welcomed her with open arms, grateful for the company. But Ngozi's intentions were far from pure. She began to seduce Obinna, using every trick she knew to lure him away from Ada. At first, Obinna resisted. He loved Ada deeply, but Ngozi was relentless, whispering lies and planting seeds of doubts in his mind. You deserve someone who can see you fully, who can share your vision for the future, Ngozi would say, her voice dripping with venom, disguised as concern. Ada is lovely, yes, but she is damaged. She will never be able to give you what you truly need. Obinna, weakened by Ngozi's manipulation and his own insecurities, eventually succumbed. He left Ada, abandoning her and her young son, and moving in with Ngozi, who wasted no time in establishing herself as the new mistress of the house. Ada was heartbroken, her world shattered, but she refused to let despair consume her. She focused on raising her son, determined to give him a good life, even if she had to do it alone. Meanwhile, Ngozi reveled in her victory. She had finally taken something away from Ada, something that no one could replace. But her triumph was short-lived. As the months passed, she grew increasingly resentful of Obinna's son, who now lives with them. The boy reminded her of Ada every time she looked at him. The boy was a living symbol of the life she could never fully take away from her old friend. She began to maltreat him, locking him in his room, denying him food, and holding cruel words at him whenever she had the chance. Obinna, blinded by his infatuation with Ngozi, failed to see what was happening under his own roof. He was busy with his work, often traveling, leaving Ngozi to manage the household. But something else was happening too, something darker and more insidious. Ngozi, no longer satisfied with just having Obinna by herself, wanted complete control over him. She wanted to make sure he would never leave her, never go back to Ada or anyone else. She began to add a mysterious powder to Obinna's food, a substance she had obtained from a secretive herbalist known for his knowledge of both healing and harming. The powder was slow-acting, its effects subtle at first. Obinna started to complain of headache, then blood vision. He went to see several doctors, but none could find the cause of his ailments. As the weeks turned into months, his vision deteriorated further, until one day he woke up to find that he was completely blind. Obinna was devastated. His once successful career came to a halt, and he was forced to rely entirely on Ngozi. But rather than care for him, Ngozi's true nature began to show. She grew crueler, more domineering, enjoying the power she had over him. Obinna's life became a prison, his days filled with darkness. But karma has a way of catching up, even with the most careful of schemers. Ada, who had heard of Obinna's plight, was torn between her lingering love for him and the deep wound he had inflicted on her. One day, driven by a sense of justice and perhaps a hope for closure, she visited Obinna's home. When she arrived, she found the once grand house in disarray, its former warmth replaced by a cold, oppressive atmosphere. Obinna, now a shadow of his former self, sat alone in the dark, his once vibrant spirit crushed. Ada's heart ached at the sight of Obinna, but she knew she had to confront Ngozi. Ngozi, surprised by Ada's visit, tried to put on her usual act of kindness. But Ada saw through it. With quiet determination, Ada confronted her former friend, accusing her of poisoning Obinna and demanding the truth. Ngozi, cornered and desperate, denied everything, but the tension between them were palpable. The confrontation escalated, and in a moment of reckless anger, Ngozi tried to strike Ada, just as she had years ago by the river. But this time, Ada was prepared. She dodged the blow, and Ngozi, unbalanced, stumbled backward, hitting her head on the edge of the table. She collapsed on the ground, unconscious, the very substance she had used to blind Obinna spilling from her pockets. The village elders were called, and Ngozi's crime was laid bare for all to see. The village elders examined the evidence and listened to Ada's account of what had transpired. Ngozi, once the proud and envious woman, now lay powerless and exposed, her schemes unraveling before her eyes. When she regained consciousness, she was met with the stern gaze of elders and the whispers of the villagers who had once been her neighbors. Her envy had consumed her, driving her to commit acts that brought nothing but misery to herself and those around her. Obinna, though blind and broken, was offered refuge and care by the villagers. Ada, despite everything she had endured, chose to forgive him. She took him in, not out of lingering love, but out of compassion and a sense of duty. Together, they worked to rebuild what had been lost, focusing on raising their son in a home filled with values that truly mattered: love, kindness, and honesty. Ngozi, on the other hand, was exiled from the village, her reputation forever tainted by her actions. As she wandered the wilderness alone, she was left to reflect on the choices that had led her down these dark paths. Morals of the story: envy is a destructive force that, if left unchecked, can consume and destroy the very soul that harbors it. True fulfillment comes not from tearing others down, but from lifting them up, embracing one's own strengths, and living a life rooted in kindness, humility, and integrity. Here comes the end of our story. Thank you for watching. Please, if you enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so as to be notified when I post another video. See you in my next video. Bye.